Welcome to Judicial Dollars and Cents, brought to you by Anders Virtual CFO Services team from all across the United States. I'm John Scott, and in each episode, we'll shine a light on the financial side of the legal world. We sit down with law firm innovators who are shaping the future of the profession. Let's dive in, right here on Judicial Dollars and Cents. Welcome to Judicial Dollars and Cents, and today I'm joined by my partner, Jody Grunden of Anders Virtual CFO Services, as well as Margarita Eberline. Today, we're talking about what challenges most every firm: marketing chaos. You know the signs: disconnected campaigns, unclear ROI, teams that aren't quite aligned. Our guest today, Margarita, can help us with all of that. Before she was doing this, she worked for big media companies like Telemundo and Nielsen. And then she became the founder and CEO of Marketing Boss, which is a consulting firm that helps law firms turn marketing chaos into clarity. With years of experience building market or data-driven growth systems, she helps firms generate qualified leads, track ROI, and align their teams for predictable, sustainable results. Margarita, welcome to the show, and thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you at ClioCon in Boston, and she's a bundle of energy. So can you take us to what was the impetus for starting your transition from Nielsen and Telemundo to what you do today?
Impetus, absolutely. That's a pretty big name, pretty big word there, John. I don't know. Impetus.
If you need me to look that up, I'll send it to you.
I might.
Anyway, how did I end up here? So I went from marketing implementation to what I do now, which is really more strategy, consulting, and making sure that the marketing actually is making money, because those two are not compatible. So here's what I figured out. If I am selling you TV advertising or I'm selling you data, right? I want you to use my data because I want you to buy more. So whatever I promote or encourage you to do is going to involve my data. If I'm selling you TV advertising, I need to make a living selling you TV advertising. So if you ask me for help with your marketing, I have to, by nature of the business I'm in, help you figure out how to monetize just the TV. As a CMO, I don't have that problem. As a CMO, I look at what the business has to offer. What is your, I like to call, unfair advantage, right? Everybody has one. Mine is my wit and my spelling. Two very, very, and they're laughing because I make typos. Anyway, I believe that business owners really deserve more than marketing tactic solutions, tactic-driven solutions. And right now, the marketing space, that's how it works. Any business owner that has ever launched a business and invested in any marketing, what are their choices? I need a website. Let me go to the website vendor. I need video. Let me go to the video vendor. I need social media. You maybe can go to an agency or maybe even build out a team, but it's complicated. So as a CMO, I get to offer unbiased, data-driven recommendations to my clients and help them actually monetize their marketing. And that space is just a better fit for me. I respect and I'm so honored to work with wonderful marketing vendors that are really good at tactics, right? So it's not to say that there's not a space for that. But for me personally, as a data analyst, that's my core. I have to do it this way, right? I'm sure there are easier ways to make money, I've been told, but I have to do it this way. I can't unsee what I can see. So I have to tell you what I'm seeing. I have to tell the person running ads on Google that they're maybe crediting their SEO vendor with ROI from the website that's actually driven by traffic from Google ads, right? As an example, that's an easy one. So those are really the things that I get to do. And that's the reason why, like, I see it so clearly that I have to talk about it and I have to stay in that space.
I love it. So you kind of act as the general manager of the football team, getting all the talent to pull in the same direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Or the metaphor that I use a lot is a orchestra leader, right? So you can have the greatest cello player, but if they're not jiving with the violinist and the, like, it's just not gonna feel right. So, yeah.
So when you first approach a client or a client approaches you, what's the process to diagnose and then come up with recommendations?
Yeah, so first they have to engage me and my team as their CMO. And then the way we have something called the Bossy method. It's on purpose. Get it? Marketing Bossy method.
Oh, I
So
get
we
it.
begin we begin with a business audit, and we call it a business audit because I don't want to just look at your marketing. I want to look at your sales. I want to look at, are you making money? So it's a business audit because we do an audit of what's happening with your marketing at the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, like email remarketing, and then the bottom of the funnel, which is sales. And based on that, we now have a baseline. I can tell you, and I can look at patterns. My team can look at patterns in your data, and we can tell you what you're likely to accomplish in the next quarter based on your performance and how it's working now. Once we have that, then we can say, if I added this one thing, this one minor lever to my marketing machine, I can really blow this thing up. And a common one, as an example for anybody that's listening, is remarketing. So many business owners are obsessed with being seen, right? The social media posts, the website, the billboard, the TV ad, all that.
Mhm.
All of that is top of the funnel stuff. And they get all these leads and they get all these views, this visibility, but then they're not actually staying in touch. They're not following up. And we know this in sales, right? If you talk to 5 people and you never follow up, you're not going to close that sale. It works the same way in marketing. And so many people are obsessed with the fun top of the funnel. Oh, what's my TV commercial going to look like? What's my Google ad going to look like? That the biggest missed opportunity that I see right now with law firm owners, which is a space that I'm most popular in, is that middle, that remarketing piece. And there's so many awesome technology solutions out there that you can use. I don't know if y'all knew this, but it's possible to collect data from website visitors and remarket to them, even if they never fill out a form. I don't know if you knew that was possible.
I did know that's possible. And I sat with a digital marketer one time that he could see that someone popped on their website. They didn't engage, but then he sent a follow-up email to him right when we were sitting there, and it got a reaction back from the prospect. It was pretty incredible insight to me. And I love your use of the word lever, because we work in a space for law firms, as you do, in an area that lawyers are not traditionally trained in. They're not trained in marketing. They're not trained in accounting and finance, and they're really focused on practicing law. And to utilize people for those outside services, we want to forecast their environment so that they know what cash will be in 6, 9, and 12 months. And if it's not where they want it to be, we can help them pull levers or suggest to them levers that can be pulled to stay on that path. So how do you judge return on investment? They're going to spend money with you. And this is a big hurdle for a lot of attorneys. A lot of business owners say, well, I just don't know if I can afford it right now. But in reality, if what you and I do work, you can't afford not to do it. But how do you judge ROI to prove that out to them?
Sure. For me, I like to be honest with law firm owners and encourage them. If they really feel like they can do it on their own, do it on your own. I have courses you can take, and I can teach you, through my courses, how to do this on your own. But if you really want to scale as a business owner, you really have to be careful with how you spend your time, right? If I'm an attorney, a business owner, I need to focus on growing my business, not being my own CMO. Right now, if you're listening and you're a law firm owner and you don't have a CMO, you're the CMO. You're filling that seat. And is that really the best use of your time? And a lot of law firm owners waste a lot of money, thousands, millions, on marketing because there are some very clever, I'm gonna call them clever, marketers that they really don't care if it works or not. They just want to hype you up. Hey, let's do social media content and we're going to produce these videos and they're going to be great, or, or whatever the channel is, right? Or let's put you on TV. It's going to be great. Like, you're going to be seen during the World Cup, right? Is that really going to get you cases that you need, like, right now? So I encourage very simple math. We were joking about math before the thing. This is easy, okay? Money in, money out. How do you track that? if you put money into a new marketing channel, even if you don't have a CMO to help you track direct ROI, look to see if there's a lift in sales that you can guesstimate that maybe it came from that one new thing that you did. That's one easy way, okay? It's not my favorite way, but if that's all you've got, that's all you've got. What I like to do is track, what did I invest in a specific marketing channel, have a system in place so that I know what phone calls, form fill outs, leads that I actually got. So now I'm actually measuring. And you can even do this with your website. So let's say that you're driving traffic to your website and you're converting through your website. There are ways that you can create codes to even track what portions of that website traffic came from what campaign. So it's possible, okay, to track. If you want to geek out on that, we can have a whole other conversation. But that's just really simple. So money in, leads out, and also what percentage are you converting? Because here's the other thing that I've noticed as a CMO, especially with law firms, 90% of the law firms that I talk to swear they have a marketing problem, but they don't. They have a sales problem. Karen's being Karen at the front desk. So those 10 leads that you got from your Google ad that should have converted, you only converted one because it was right after her coffee break and she was in a better mood, right? So I'm making a joke, but like that's honestly what I have found is most law firms have really good services. They get enough referrals even. They don't even really need to advertise that heavily. And then the ones that are advertising, they're not converting as much. And so what do? They throw more at the marketing. Let me invest another $1 million. Let me invest, in another channel. And they're wanting to fill that pipeline when the greatest opportunity is that remarketing and then button it up with that sales. And so I like to track money in, leads out, conversions, and then you can have a calculation of the cost per case, right? If you spent $10 and you got 10 cases, then that was $1 per case.
I love your attention and to the data and the detail and around the data and good data, because what we do and what you do sort of interacts there. We start with a forecast based on expected work from the professionals that are doing the work. And what we do, that tells us their capacity. And then we look at what they're doing. And so that gap is how much additional work could they take on? And what's the average value of a matter? And then what's my conversion rate? So if I have $1 million of capacity, and I have a 50% conversion rate, I need $2 million in the pipeline of available prospects because I'm not going to get them all. And if there is a Karen problem at the front desk, that she's in a bad mood and our conversion rate is not historically what it should be or what it has been, then we can diagnose that by paying attention to that data and make a fix on that. And I love it. It's not spending more on marketing; it's fixing the process.
Yeah. Exactly. How would you go about the Karen at the front desk? Just kind of curious. So you're losing opportunities. You think it's the Karen at the front desk, but how would you actually peg it down as that's it?
Sure. So if we see that there are quality leads coming in and they're not converting, then we take a closer look at data on customer service. I actually created a methodology called Connect Convert, where I outline 7 core KPIs, and we always add more because every law firm is different in what they're looking for. But we have 7 core KPIs that we can monitor, that if we're hitting like 10 out of 10, these KPIs in a sales call, and it's a qualified lead, we're very likely to sign it up. And so we then look at that data, the customer service data around these KPIs, and we'll look to see which KPIs or, which unique, sometimes it's one, usually it's multiple, are being skipped. And then we train. We train with mindset coaching. We provide one-on-one training, because the fact of the matter is, if y'all are like me, every January you tell yourself, I'm going to go to the gym 5 times and I'm going to work out 30 minutes a day, right? And then you just don't. Why not? It's mindset. It's the same thing with anything else. When you know what you're supposed to do and you don't do it, it's always mindset. And so our approach is very, very much about connection. And my methodology is called Connect Convert, not Convince Convert, because it's not about teaching people to manipulate, pressure, car salesy stuff. No, the idea is that if you have a qualified lead and you have a quality service and you monitor these KPIs and you perform well around these KPIs, you're going to sign them up. Like, it's just the law of the universe. Like, you just have to, if there's alignment. And these KPIs are a nice way to measure. And, you know, and I'm very proud of this methodology. I wrote a book about it. So if anybody wants to check it out, you can buy the book on Amazon, and it explains like why little things like using the person's name in the conversation is a KPI that you should always monitor, because it creates that connection. It builds trust, especially with, you know, law firm leads specifically, where you're dealing with PNCs, potential new customers that come with trauma. Like, it's different. It's different. And so when you're trying to sign up a case with your head, right? We're the best. You know, we let's say you're a PI attorney, right? We get big settlements. That traumatized person doesn't care. They just want to know if they can trust Karen, right? So if Karen says, John, I am so sorry this happened to you. How's your head feeling? You know, before Karen proceeds to ask you for your first name, last name, and your email so she can put it into the database and send you a contract, right? It makes a world of a difference. And it has to be authentic. You can't fake it. People can tell when you're faking. And so that does require a lot of deep work. And the mindset coaching is key for us.
So I'm assuming you're recording all those calls and going through the recordings with the client, or?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Because I can ask you, Jody, how did that call go? And you're like, oh, great. You know, and like, meanwhile,
that's what I would say.
Well, John was bored in minutes. Yeah. And it's all done in a safe space. Like, the calls are not even, like, the coachings are not even recorded so that people feel comfortable to vent, you know. And sometimes things come out, like, you know, we'll say, hey, you know, when you get down to the sign up, like, you seem to be hesitant. And sometimes people will tell us, I just don't really think we're the best law firm. And I'm like, okay, let's deal with that. Like, sometimes that comes out.
There's an underlying issue that has to be addressed.
Yeah. And like, we don't go and tell the business owner, because then that breaks confidentiality, but we can address it. We can address it and help the firm like really level up that customer service. Whereas if we're not having these conversations, then we don't know.
I love the fact that you related this to working out, because if you work out consistently every week, you know, 5 days a week or 4 days a week, or the alternative is you go, okay, I didn't work out this week, so I'm going to work out for 3 hours on the weekend. You're going to be sore. You're going to get hurt. You're not going to work out the next week. And a lot of firms and business owners approach marketing and finance in that same way. They ignore it. And then all of a sudden they spend a half a day on it, and it's fouled up, whether it's marketing or finance, and they get frustrated. And they need to look, what we do is not brain surgery, right? We don't have to have advanced medical degrees to do this. You have to just keep doing the same repeatable things over and over, and then pay attention to what worked and what didn't work. And if it worked, do more of it and keep doing it on a regular and consistent basis.
Yeah, because I'd add to that, John, that a lot of times when sales are going really well, they slow down a marketing period because they think sales are going to be endless. And so we always look at it when sales are going well. That's when you really need to beef it up, you know, make sure it's even going better.
Well, and you've got this balance, right? You pick up 6 new clients in 4 weeks. You've got to onboard them. You really kind of want to take a little time out on the next one, but you don't want a dry period after that where you like, where's the next new client coming from?
Yeah.
So Margarita, you are extremely creative. And when we saw you in Boston, you did a video of me juggling, and it was just spur of the moment. How do you add that creativity into what law firms should be doing, and are they receptive to it?
Oh, I love that. I wish they were more receptive to my crazy ideas. No, actually, no. I'm a really big believer in being authentic. So my approach with my law firm owners is I study the law firm owner, if they're going to be the face, you know, or the partners. And I make recommendations based on what I feel like is authentic to them, right? Like, you know, to pick on you, you brought it up, right? I was like, hey, John, I'm like, why don't you juggle this and we'll make it, because I had already gotten a sense that you're a fun person. Like, that's who you are. Like, I wouldn't have suggested that.
Despite my family and what Jody thinks, I appreciate you saying that.
I was going to say, man, you just don't know him very well.
I hereby officially vouch that John is fun, right? And so I was like, oh, he would like this. I wouldn't make that suggestion to somebody that's like introverted and always thinking about, oh my gosh, what are people going to think? So I try to tailor, my team tries to tailor the recommendations to what's authentic. What is the authentic voice of that brand, of that person? And yeah, I think that sometimes we also have to take into consideration who's your ideal customer, right? Your ideal customer are business owners that are stressed out, and they're going to laugh about that. They're going to be like, oh my God, that's me. Like, just juggling too much. So we take into account who's your target audience, what would they like, and then take into account who you are and what's an authentic expression that, you know, aligns with your voice, your brand voice.
You know, you mentioned that so a lot of law firms owner want to be the face of the firm. Morgan & Morgan is John Morgan and his wife, Ultima. I'm kind of on the fence about whether or not a name of a firm should be associated with a face and a person. I think we're coming into an era where firms at some point will be transferable. And I think it destroys a little bit of the value. Now, traditionally, law firms have been, you know, names of people that are associated with reputations. But at some point, I think when firms are more fungible and transferable, we're going to have to get away from that.
Yeah, I think you have to figure out what your play is and what you're wanting to do. The reality is that people buy from people. Personal brands are a way to growth hack. That's just the way that it is. Can you grow without a personal brand attached to a company? Yes. It's just not going to be as easy to connect. This is why Progressive Insurance has Flow, right? You bring in a personality because people connect with the personality, right? So, yeah. So you just have to make a choice. Both can work, but you have to decide what's your play. I've got a client right now who has a law firm that's a multi-practice firm, and we're going to experiment with, hey, let's create an AI lawyer avatar for one of your law firm services and separate it from your main brand that's tied to your personal brand. We're gonna see what happens. I was like, you know, my gut tells me this could possibly work because people are all about AI right now, and they might just embrace it. Are you willing to try this crazy idea with me? And he's like, yes, because he wants to separate his personal brand from one specific case type where, like, it's just not comfortable for him to be the face. But for the other ones, he's like, I'm good. We can use my name and all that. So, yeah.
But again, paying attention to the data. What are the results? And not just a gut of, oh, that call went great, or yes, I think this is going to work. You're going to actually look at the data and say, hey, that did work. I'm going to feed it more. Or it didn't work. We're going to change course.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And if you want a simple tip that anybody can apply with any business, like in the next 10 minutes, if you want to test out a creative idea, just run an ad on social media and see what the response is. $5, $10, $50, $1,000. It really doesn't matter. You can actually test things on social media before you actually like launch. So with digital ads like that, it's easy. You can do that.
So what are the best platforms today for businesses, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, which I guess is now X? I'm showing my age here, my experience level.
I still call it Twitter, whatever. Yeah.
I mean, are they all relevant? TikTok included?
So again, it's about what's your play. Marketing, building a marketing machine. If you picture it like a bunch of gears, the more gears you have, the more massive of a machine you have, and the more opportunities you have to draw in leads and sales. So is it a good idea to do a little bit of everything? Sure. Is it the best idea for your specific business? This is how I recommend you think through that. Certain marketing channels are going to come with greater risk. So for traditional media like TV, radio, newspaper, if that even still exists, like digital newspapers, I guess, right? The risk tolerance needs to be higher because it's going to take longer for that to take effect. And that's assuming that you have a good sticky message. The creative matters, right? So think through, what risk tolerance do you need to implement a strategy in that channel that you're considering for you? And then the other thing is unfair advantage. I always share this story about the attorney who hated making videos, and someone not in their right mind convinced him to do a video package. He looked angry in every single video. Do you think he didn't get not one lead? That just was not the channel for him, right? It is for me. I love making videos. I have a blast, and I put on costumes if I need to. I don't care. Like that's what fits for me. So you have to think about that as well. Like, does it align with you? So traditional media, greater risk; digital media, lower risk, quicker in data at least, or information. So that's how I would think through those decisions. And then for legal specifically, the basic marketing machine for most law firms is you need some sort of website. You can't go without that. You have to have your digital brochure even, right? You may not have like an SEO optimized thing, but you at least have to have a website. You have to have a Google My Business. It's like the yellow pages. Like that's where people find you. See, I dated myself too. Twitter and yellow pages. And you have to have some sort of way to advertise to your contacts. So email marketing, SMS marketing, to me, these are basics for any law firm, like your website, your email marketing, your Google My Business. And then if you're ready for it, layer on top direct to PNC channels like Google. Like if I get hit by a car, if I want to get a divorce, whatever I need, I'm going to go to Google. That's a ready to buy customer. That's just the easiest place to find. But buyer beware. Google and those digital channels where it's inexpensive, relatively speaking, right? And it's less risky to get the phone to ring or people to fill out forms. They do require a very, very buttoned up sales process, because those people that are responding to those ads, they know there's 20 more right below yours that they can click on and call. So there's zero patience, very short attention spans. Sometimes they're not ideal customers. So
it's a very wide funnel at that point, and you're not getting the most qualified lead. But if your process is good, you can narrow it down pretty quickly and get through those.
Yeah, and be ready for a lot of garbage. LSA ads, Google ads are great, but they're gonna come with a lot of garbage. I once oversaw a campaign where we literally put for a PI attorney, do not call us if the accident was your fault. And people still call. like accident help for victims only. Still didn't work. Like people just don't read. Like you can't eliminate waste. I have a lot of law firm owners that get frustrated and they're like, oh, these digital ads are not working. I'm getting 50 calls, of people that don't want what I do, but then they're like not paying attention that they got 3 or 4 really good cases that are worth a lot. Like that's how you have to think through those, because you're going to get a lot of garbage. Like people don't read, they don't pay attention, they click. With Meta, that's another option too. It's one of my least right now with law firms. Meta's great because it's social media, and if you're on there, you might as well run some ads, right? In theory, that should work. But what's happening with Meta is people will fill out the form and not realize they're doing it. There's like bots that will fill out forms with fake information. So you're going to get even more garbage, and it's going to be harder to follow up.
So you have to have a process in place to filter through the garbage.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come to my off the wall question now. And Judicial Dollars and Cents, you know me, the Judicial Dollars and Cents show. If it was a show on TV or a reality TV show, how would you rate our audience, and what kind of input would you give as to what we should do for the show? Given your background in Telemundo and Nielsen, who would be our audience, and what kind of ratings would we get?
I see. So like,
I'm sorry?
If this was a TV show, who would be your audience?
And yeah, who would be the audience, and what would I do to get more engagement? Am I juggling?
We'd be giving PBS a run for their money.
That's what we want to hear.
And let's do some fundraising at the end of the show. Scan this QR code and donate to keep this program going. Only you can keep it.
Love the PBS reference. My youngest was in town from Chicago the other day, and he wanted to watch this docuseries on Ernest Hemingway. Well, I enjoy Ernest Hemingway, and he found it. We could buy it for $8, or he could sign up for free for PBS's online streaming services. And then he assured me he would cancel it, but that would be $200 a year. I might just pay the $8. We're never going to cancel it. I have enough subscriptions. Hey, our guest today has been Margarita Eberline. She is the founder and CEO of Marketing Boss. She helps law firms turn marketing chaos into clarity through data-driven measurable growth systems. And you can learn more about her work at www.marketingboss.com. She's also written, she's on her third book. So you can find those books, and we'll put a link to her current books in the show notes, as well as a link to her website and LinkedIn. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you're a law firm owner ready to think differently about your numbers from marketing to finance, visit Anders Virtual CFO Services to learn how we help firms move from reaction to strategy. Thank you for tuning in to Judicial Dollars and Cents. Thanks for joining us on Judicial Dollars and Cents, presented by Anders Virtual CFO Services. If you found value in today's conversation, be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcast. To learn more about how Anders helps law firms strengthen their financial foundations and drive growth, visit anderscpa.com. Until next time, keep making smart decisions that make perfect sense.